Ask the Messengers, the program that deals with substance abuse, real people telling real stories. Where there is addiction, there is a chance for recovery. We're trying to help save lives on Ask the Messengers.
I know what it's like to be part of a broken family. I know what it's like for drugs and other issues to tear your family apart. Our job as a society should be, how do we prevent that from happening, first of all, and how do we help people when they are going through that? I don't think prison and jail is the solution for most of those situations. I grew up in Ohio in a small city called Springfield. I was raised by both of my parents, my father and my mother. My mom was a stay-at-home mother. She taught us. She was homeschooling us. My mother encouraged us to be musical, encouraged us to be creative. A lot of my chops as a musician were really developed during that time period. So it was a very important time for me. My mother, she kind of fell into a depression after her mother died. She kind of turned to the wrong things to comfort her and became estranged from the family. When she was on drugs and having her own battle with depression, she got in trouble a few times and had to interact with the criminal justice system. So we talk about that sometimes, and we both agree that when people are going through those kind of issues, they really need help. They don't need to be locked up. They need counseling, they need drug treatment. My mother found help through friends and family, through church. She just tried to find people that loved her and wanted to help her. And it took a while, and she really got pretty close to rock bottom, but she eventually got the help she needed. She's doing much better now and is happy and healthy and a great grandmother to our daughter. The key was never to lock her up, it was to get her the help she needed.
Welcome to another episode of the Ask the Messengers TV show. I am your host, Tina Nelson, and today we have two of the pillars of the recovery community. We talk about long-term recovery. You're going to hear a part of their story, and you're going to also find out what they're doing today to help energize and let everybody know that recovery voices matter. So we have Floyd White Sr. and Charles Coleman, both of Real, Michigan. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
So let's talk about this. Everybody got a movement, right? Hashtag. So we're going to do hashtag recovery voices matter. How about that?
Sounds great.
So let's talk about Real Michigan. Mr. Floyd, you could just tell us about Real Michigan. When did it start, and what is Real Michigan for people that may not know?
Well, Real Michigan is actually a peer-driven, peer-ran recovery organization that is it started some time ago. I've been with them for about the last 8 or 9 years. Charlie, Mr. Coleman, has been with them since the beginning, and what we do is we actually deal in reducing the stigma of addiction. Through education, through advocacy, going back and forth to town hall meetings and up to Lansing and riding the bus and doing all types of things of that nature. And we also lean toward education, and we try to get new members into Real so that we can educate them. We educate them on things like how to talk to the public. Like for myself, one of the things that we initiate or we encourage is that you don't use the word recovering addict. We use I'm a person in long-term recovery, and what that means to me is I haven't used any mind or mood altering chemicals for the last 29 years, which gives a different twist to what an addict is. Funny how the mind works, and we want to know that when you say recovering addict, people think you're still using, and we don't want it to be viewed that way. We want people to know that long-term recovery is possible, and we help other addicts, recovering addicts, into leadership positions.
Charlie C, you were there from the beginning stages. So I know Dr. Trent was very instrumental in getting it going. So how did you guys come together to even form it? You know, what inspired it to come about?
Well, there have been people like Lawrence Kenyatta, people on city council, people have been meeting in groups dealing with addiction even when I was using. This isn't the first help. There were people, there was Martha Jean the Queen used to come on the radio every day. I would be in the dope house using, and she would be there with James Cleveland without a song.
Throughout the years, I guess there was this hidden notion that because you were a felon, you couldn't vote. So where did that come? Let's talk about that. So as a felon, you can vote, you can't vote, because we have elections and maybe a lot of people that don't vote because they think that is such is the case, because Uncle Ray Ray, who used to get high back in the day, say, man, you got felons, you can't vote. I think that's where it comes from, pretty much. So
Well,
let's dispel that myth.
Part of who we are, which is recovery education, right? A couple of years ago, we started going to treatment centers, right? For returning citizens, people who had gone into treatment trying to recover from addiction, and informing them as we signed people up, registered them to vote, right? And had a pamphlet that showed your rights, right? Educating them. See, sometimes you got to have people that speak up for your circumstance. Somebody's got to take another look at who we are. Things have changed and people need to know we're people to be reckoned with, right? And we need assistance and some freedom to do what we've been very effective and successful with. Like I said, there are thousands of us. We've returned thousands of people back home to their families. We have been so effective and we're everywhere.
Okay, so let's take a quick break and we're going to hear a little bit of Charlie C's story on the other side of this break. And when we come back, let's talk about the mission, Recovery Voices Matter. What are some of the things that you guys are working on, or what do you want people to know what your goals are and how they can be involved and what it takes to be involved, okay? So this is Tina, and we are here with Charles Coleman and Floyd White Sr. of Real Michigan, and they're just here to let you know recovery voices do matter. And if you don't think your voice doesn't matter, we're here to tell you it does matter. So we'll be right back after this message. Kimberly has been raped, stabbed, beaten, and left for dead. But guess what? Through God's grace and mercy, Kimberly is still standing. There Is No Sound in My Scream, Drugs, Truth, and Faith is a highly recommended book written by Kimberly E. Mallory.
Never will I give up, no matter what, simply because God never gave up on me.
This 70-page book is her testimony about how her struggles and triumphs with drug addiction. Get your copy of There Is No Sound in My Scream, Drugs, Truth, and Faith by Kimberly E. Mallory, available now on Amazon.
Hi, my name is Artesia Washington, and I'd like to welcome you to Irvine Newer Rehab, where we help you reach your goals of rehabilitation. So you ask, why choose Irvine? Now here at Irvine, we offer physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language pathology, counseling, aquatic therapy, and massage therapy. And we help build you back to your previous level of functioning. Give us a call, 248-415-2500, www.irvinenewerrehab.com.
Kirk Page Collections, the brand you trust to deliver. If we don't have your size in stock, we'll go get it. We ship same day, so you don't have to wait for your order. We ship to any city in America, and 100% of our clothing is made right here in the US, right here at home. You want a new look going into the office tomorrow? Kirk Page Collections. Out on the town and want a trendy shirt to complement your outfit? Kirk Page Collections. No matter the life event, Kirk Page Collections has your back. Life's favorite brand.
Welcome, Judge Mathis. Thanks for coming to share an important message with the Wayne County taxpayers.
Well, thank you for allowing me to help. You know, most of my life I was a resident of Wayne County, and so I'm here to help because Treasurer Shabri wants to work with Wayne County homeowners to keep families in their homes and prevent foreclosure.
If you're having trouble making your property tax payments, let us know. We have many resources to help.
Already in a payment plan? It's important you stay in good standing.
Making property tax payments is now easier than ever. We have placed payment kiosks in community centers across the county. We've also added kiosks in our offices. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com.
And remember, stay safe, save time, make your appointments and payments online.
My name is Charles Coleman, affectionately known as Charlie C. I got clean October 7th, 1987, and I haven't used since.
So what was your drug of choice?
You know, it changes. It depends on, you know, I would say heroin, right? However, the situations change and shift depending on the times. I got high during times when if you didn't get high, something was wrong with you, right? And so it was a culture kind of thing, right? And everybody fed into it. It wasn't like we were drug addicts who had a posture. We started out partying and give me a little of this, give me a hit of that. And before you knew it, you were leaning toward getting that every time it was time to party. It's like the girl who I would ask to dance at the bar, and she'll say, let me have a drink first. Come back and get me after I have a couple of drinks, and I'll be ready. I'll dance your butt off, right?
We are back with Real Michigan. We got Charles Coleman, Floyd White Sr. here, and we have just been talking about Recovery Voices Matter. You know, there's movements for everything matters. So guess what? Recovery Voices matter too. And these guys are upstanding citizens throughout the recovery community who take stance on this very presence here. Recovery Voices Matter. So, Mr. Floyd,
yes,
tell us a little bit about the missions and goals, and what are some of the things that you are working towards and really would like to see happen throughout the Real Michigan organization that people don't already know about?
Right. For one, I'd like to see us become united. We had a grant called Building Recovery Organizations. It's called B Corps, Building Organizations for Recovery throughout the state, organizing all recovery community organizations in the state, all the way up to the Upper Peninsula. So we had leadership conferences in like Flint area, Lansing, and things of that nature, where we got together and we exchanged information and tried to connect and stay connected so that we can represent those communities down in Detroit area, because we're so separated. So our goal was to really unite all the recovery communities under that grant. But we also got sidetracked by that grant because of funding issues. And so I like to say this too, when it comes to having the Recovery Voices Matter, I think it was Faces and Voices of Recovery. They have a slogan. It's called, it goes like this: we would no longer be defined by our silence, meaning that we won't let other people determine what goes on for us by us being silent and not heard. So that goes right along with Recovery Voices Matter. We're not the only ones who believe that. Most recovery people know that we're being, by us being silent, the powers that be take over and determine what happens with the funding and how it's targeted. And you have people that sit on our boards that there's no recovery representation. Like you have DE agents, judges, veterinarians, and things of that nature to determine how you can best spend money to recover, and they have no idea. You know, and I've always said this at all functions that, look, I'm a recovery expert, right? You know, I tell them, you know, you're a judge, you went to school 7 years, 8 years to become a judge, and you're a doctor, you went to school 8, 10 years. I've been studying this for 29 years, right? So I can best tell you what I've already obtained, and that's long-term recovery. So if you want it, why don't you include us in the decision-making process as to how that money can best be spent to achieve what you really want?
Charlie C, you want to add something to that, or did he do good?
He made a strong point. See, we're not just talking. We are what we are talking about. It's not just a presentation. This is our life. We have chosen a lifestyle that we live through this, and recovery has a fine print to it that deals with helping others and sharing your experiences with others to identify and to give hope. See, when you talk about what our stories are, it's one thing to go through the adventures of active addiction. And it's another thing to hold on for 34 years, in spite of all the things. In other words, taking away the excuses of the fact that I'm a person who used drugs doesn't limit me from being many other things. And so, like I said, our voices need to be heard.
So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have some final words from these two gentlemen from Real Michigan. They're going to tell you how to get involved, and they're going to even tell you how you can send them some money, because you know it's all about funding. So we will be right back. But before we go to the break, you know, y'all heard a little bit of Charlie C's story. Now, let me say this before we go to break. Now, Charlie C, he been with Ask the Messengers from day one. If you go to our YouTube channel, go to episode number 1 or number 2. And Charlie C was sitting right there with our co-host, God bless his soul, Leroy Carey. Y'all was ride or die at the table together. So when I tell you he about the truth, he lived this, Charlie C lives it for real, for real. Best believe that. So y'all heard Charlie's story. Now let's hear Floyd's story real quick. And then we come back, we will have some final words from these two gentlemen here. This is Tina for Ask the Messengers, and we'll be right back.
My clean date is October 21st, 1992, and my drug of choice was crack cocaine.
How did your using affect your relationship with your family?
It actually affected my family greatly because I isolated a lot. I didn't use around my family other than my fiance at the time, which we eventually broke up because of my using for 2 years. At some point, I realized that I didn't have the ability to stop. And I came for a moment of sanity. I told her she may want to take the baby and the money and run. And she did just that.
What was the point where you said, enough is enough, I'm done?
Good question. I remember eventually started smoking straight out of a pipe because of whatever reason. People would like you to join what they were doing. I would send for weed and crack, and they would come back with just crack, saying there was no weed to be found, you know. And so as a result, I had an automobile, and the guy took it to go cop for me that last time and never came back. Took my car, and at that time I lived on Telegraph and 8 Mile, and I was on Finkel in Livernois area. I walked all the way home, and here's what happened. About 2 blocks from my home, and it was raining, I saw a $20 bill in the puddle of water. I picked it up, and I actually thought about walking back. That's when I knew something had to be wrong. I signed myself up because I was an employee of General Motors. I signed myself up. I had what was called a gatekeeper at that time, and you could call in for help if you thought you had a problem. And she assigned me to a recovery treatment center called Columbia up in Clarkston, and I went there. And I stayed in there for a 30-day program. Well, you need to know this. It didn't work the first time. I came out and I never made any meetings. And in that program, I was the most likely to succeed. My door was full of all these certificates, president of the therapeutic community, and sat in the front of the class. I took notes for hours and days upon end. And I was the one that they thought was going to make it. And about 6 weeks after that, I used. I went to the same place where I had come from, the drug house, and with my NA book and telling them they didn't have to use it anymore. There was a way out. And about 3 or 4 weeks after that, I was sitting in the same house using again. So I signed myself back up for treatment immediately. And I went back in again. And I went back to the same place because I thought I'd possibly missed something. All the studying, all the notes, something wasn't right because I used again. And I couldn't figure out, I thought maybe I was missing the spiritual part of the program because I didn't believe in God at that time. I went back and just to find out what it is I missed, you know. And the second time around, I came out and I made meetings, and that made the difference.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri, encouraging all taxpayers to please take advantage of the several payment options available. If you have to visit our office in person, you must make an appointment by going to treasurer.waynecounty.com. It only takes a few minutes. Facial covering or mask is required and social distancing is observed. You can also email our office at taxinfo@waynecounty.com or call us at 313-224-5990.
If you or someone you know is battling with any type of cancer, you need to read the book by Laverne Moore Slaughter, God Encounters Are Real. In her book, she tells how through prayer and faith, God healed her and set her free from stomach cancer. For more information and to get your copy, visit www.encountersarereal.net.
My voice.
My responsibility.
My generation.
My ballot.
My future. My vote.
We are back with Real Michigan, Charlie C, Floyd White Sr., two pillars of the recovery community. So let's get some closing comments from, we're gonna save Charlie C for last because he usually has some, you know, let's save him so he can ponder his poetry. All right, Mr.
I agree with that. He's definitely a poet, and he's never at a loss for words.
Yeah, let him ponder his poetry. So, yes. Mr. Floyd, tell us what is it that you would like to leave the viewers with today?
I'd like to leave the viewers with this thought that through our concentrated and united efforts, right, recovery voices and lives do matter, you know, and if at all possible, if you're in the sound or you see this tape or this taking, please contact one of our organizations. Charlie and I make no money doing this. We're not funded, we're not paid. We do this for the love of recovery and because it's so badly needed.
All right, Charlie C. You the poet. What you got to say to the public for us, Charlie C, on the way out?
I don't know if maybe this will get your attention. Your mother's life is at stake. Your father's life is at stake. Your son's life is at stake. Your life is at stake. Your community development is at stake, and it's in your hands. We are not just talking. This is the truth, right? And we are a society and a type of movement that is necessary. You know, we used to always, as recovering people, anxious to go back to our society, when now the way society is, we might be the preferred society. We are larger in numbers than you can even imagine. We have meetings in bomb shelters in foreign countries. You know, I'm on my way to Lisbon, right? Because of some stuff that I heard. It's a lifestyle that's exciting, and you meet the most interesting people. We need you. See, the message I want to put out, we need someone to help build a newsletter. There are so many talented people who are seeking recovery, and we got stuff for you to do. We need your help. We need your dollars. If you believe in you, everybody has somebody in their family who either needs recovery or is in recovery. That's our reality. And like I said, now more than ever, we need leadership, and we need to be recognized for what is really going on. See, because Floyd mentioned it lightly, and I don't want to get on the soapbox, but there have been things that have ignored that have happened with these drug companies. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes they'll start a movement in that direction and then they stop. Because the truth, when the real truth comes out, right? See, and that's why we need to be free from the grants and things so we can do what we know to do, what we know to be the real issues. And that's why we have candidate forums. That's why we have naloxone kits. That's why we go to treatment centers and register people. That's why we have events to register people to vote because your vote counts. And like Floyd said, we are now productive members of society, tax-paying members of society. And our voices need to be heard, and you are one of us. I don't care who's listening. You need to be involved, and you need to join us in real. Are you for real?
You too can get involved. Real Michigan, visit their website, realmichigan.org. Recovery Community Centers, 313-492-5735. Families Against Narcotics Detroit Chapter, 313-491-0003. You can also contact us here at Ask the Messengers for other recovery resources. Again, we thank Floyd and Charlie C for all that they do to make sure that recovery voices matter. Well, that concludes this week's episode of the Ask the Messengers TV show. We hope something you heard today helped you in some way to understand addiction and to give anyone struggling the desire to surrender and seek help. If you or someone you know is experiencing anything that seems to be too hard to handle, please know there is a way out, and don't hesitate or be afraid to seek help. Until next time, may you seek a power greater than yourself so that you too can turn your mess into a message that will help save lives. Continue to stay safe, and most importantly, be kind and love one another.
Won't you help us to do exactly what our motto is, and that is to help save lives? Won't you send a generous donation to the information there on the screen? We would love to have you as part of our partnership to help save lives. You may not be able to go out in the street, you may not be able to come here to the show, but you can send your donation that helps us save lives.